as well, and then I can send it and we can keep it. So that's going to happen now, and then I'll go through it. Happy to take questions as we go through. Happy to take questions at the end. If you've got no questions, you know, happy days. But ask away anything. No question is too big. If I don't know the answer, I'll make it up. No, I'm joking. I'll give you a proper answer as much as I possibly can. But I will share my screen and we'll get cracking on this PowerPoint. Now, I did rehearse this. I haven't done one for a while with one screen. I'm in a little booth here in the office, which is quite nice. I'm doing this on one screen, which I haven't done for a long time. So bear with me one moment. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, can everyone see that PowerPoint? I hope so. I can't see you now, so I'm relying on you to tell me if you can't see anything. Okay, this is just a lovely little welcome slide. Just wanted to show my designer. So this is all about a little awards workshop on submitting into the best international media campaign created in the UK for the M&M Global Awards. So why enter? I thought it was a good place to start in terms of entering. And this is from talking to a lot of brands, actually, and a lot of agencies and entrants, not just into our awards, but into other awards. But there's a few things with M&M and with the festival portfolio at large. We are on the RECMA points list and the Convergence point list. So if there's any agencies in the audience today, all of your award wins, whether they're highly commended or winners, the points get added to the RECMA and Convergence League tables at the end of the year, which is quite exciting. But there are a number of really great reasons to enter into our awards, and this has come from talking to the industry as a whole. So there's one that's all about generating a more positive working culture amongst employees. So you know that feeling if you say to someone, I think your work was so amazing, I'm going to put it forward for a set of global awards, which is going to be judged by your peers. The kind of instantaneous buzz you get from that, the excitement you get from that is very good, and it helps to foster that lovely kind of working environment where people are feeling great that their work is getting recognized. Whether they win or not, it's just lovely to be recognized internally within their companies. The other key reason is all around cost-effective marketing. And again, you don't have to win necessarily to take advantage of this. You know, there's plenty of marketing opportunities around the fact that you may have been shortlisted, the fact that you've got a piece of work that you think is worthy of being entered on a global stage, which is very exciting. So that's another great reason. Also, you know, similarly to when you're looking to buy products as a consumer, every organization wants to have the best talent. They want to be able to retain that best talent. And if you're looking for companies to join and they've got a winning portfolio from a set of awards that has recognition and is revered in the industry, then that is a big driver for that. The other one, and this is really interesting actually, because in different parts of the world, this is true. So for example, our APAC audience winning a Festival of Media award has led to many of the agencies winning new client business. Now, one of the things I didn't mention earlier is the majority of our jurors across all of our programs, and in particular M&M, are, I would say 90% of them are made up of brands. So it's mainly the clients that are judging. So it's a great opportunity to showcase your work and what your business can do to a great client audience that you might not necessarily get in front of on a regular basis. And they're all there looking at those award submissions and taking notes. You'll be surprised, taking inspiration. I've seen some of the notebooks that have been left in our judging sessions, and I've seen people have written down the names of companies that they then want to pursue or have come to us afterwards and asked us if we can connect them in to the people that had submitted. So there's that whole piece around winning new business and being open and being on the radar of clients. The other thing is, once clients win a piece of work that has been nominated by their media owner or their agency, they then can go back to their bosses and ask for a slightly bigger spend when it comes to the new campaigns, which is brilliant for you guys, because that means more work, greater spend, and everyone is kind of happy in the cycle. And then one of the things we've noticed now, and this comes from our conversations with everyone from, say, Unilever out into Coke to L'Oreal, they're all looking now when they're pitching out their business, they are looking for companies that do have an award-winning credentials, and that's basically because they know that there's a good set of work going on there. There's a great team that's supporting that work. So they're kind of some of the fundamental reasons why to enter. I wanted to take you through the next part, which is all around, I suppose, collating the information. So we've obviously talked to our entrants quite a lot, and we get, some entrants who are year on year kind of supporters who enter, but talking to those guys and putting our own awards spin on things. So step one is all about getting that information. So we use the word client teams here, but talking to those client teams, put forward the campaigns that they think that they've created for clients over the last 12 months that best fit the synopsis of the category. So here we're looking at that best international category, created by the UK. So companies in the UK looking with that international lens, and we're looking for the campaigns that have run between the 1st of April 2023 and the 31st of May this year. Now, a lot of people ask us, oh, I started the campaign, say, on the 1st of May 2024, and it ended on the 3rd of June. Well, that's fine as long as the majority of the campaign was run in between those dates, then that's absolutely fine. If you have any kind of issues or questions around that, the team are more than happy to help and provide guidance on that. When you're looking at that information, it's just looking at key factors. So one of the biggest things is to make sure that you've got results, obviously. It's kind of like what I like to relate it to, and this probably only applies to those of you on the call that are 35 plus, but when we used to do our science work at school, and we'd have the methodology, the execution, and the results. So I always kind of marry it out like that. So our entry process is very, very much formulaic, so that you've got the opportunity to ensure you've got the right answers. It's not, here's a piece of paper, you've got 500 words to enter. It's very much, this is the question you need to answer, this is how you answer it, and this is the word limit you've got, just so that you're much more formulated and you're putting in the key information. So it's always making sure that you've kind of got those ideas, you've got those results, and what the campaign was trying to achieve. The idea then is to kind of pick the best work out of that. You might have 3 campaigns, and you might go, well, actually, all 3 have hit the standard that we think is kind of winning work. So we might want to put 3, or you might put 1 forward. So it's all about kind of making sure you've got that. In some cases, which is probably a bit late to enter this, but we use this workshop for everyone around the world. In some cases, they have internal awards programs to discover and identify the best work when they're working kind of on a global scale. And then look, making sure that you've got the approval of your client or the agency that you worked with to enter the work, if that be the case. So that's kind of the first step, is making sure you've got all that key information. Step 2 is writing the entry. So there's a document which I can send out after this, actually, and I can give to Mattia to send to you all, which is a template and guidelines document. So effectively in there, it lays out exactly what the form looks like. I'm going to attempt to pull it up here. Hopefully you can still see that. This is where it lays out. Here you go. Here are your entry dates. These are our standard deadline dates. As you know, people hate to do things on time, so you have to put in a few deadlines. And a question around the deadlines is, which we always get asked, why do you have the different deadlines? Well, to be honest, it's such a big and logistical nightmare trying to ensure you've got the right judges judging the right submissions. So we have to cut off at some point. Otherwise, if you don't have a deadline, it can go on for ages and ages. So we try to do our best. The 13th of June is our extended deadline, but I would imagine that we've baked in, well, I know we've baked in a couple of extra weeks in an emergency. So there's a couple more weeks to be able to do it, because what we like to do then is have a shortlist announcement, which is the 2nd of August. So we need to ensure that our judges have had 2 or 3 weeks to do that first part of judging. Then we have the final judging in the 2nd week of September. And as you can see, the award ceremony is then the 3rd. But here it gives you the prices. Don't worry, for this particular category, we are keeping the price at $3.90. And I know the IAA are being very lovely and giving you your first entry on the house thanks to them, which is wonderful. But if you wanted to enter other ones, we will for IAA members honor it at the early bird price. And then as you go down, it gives you the entry guidelines. I won't read through it all, but I will send you this afterwards. And what I wanted to take you to, and as you can see, you've got the awards email here for the team if you have any queries as you go through. But this is what the template looks like on the system that you enter. So it's entry title, very self-explanatory. We've got an explanation for what each one does, the type of company you are, the entering company, the brand. So this is all the key information that comes in here so that we have that. And then you go down, you've got the credits to make sure everyone is credited. And then this is the key part, the written entry itself. So here you will see you've got an objectives. So it's 150 words. So you put in here the objectives. So what did and I'll show you some best practice of a campaign in a bit. So this is kind of, what was the campaign trying to achieve? What were you trying to achieve? If you've got some stats or some benchmarks in there that you say, we're trying to beat this particular score, or we were trying to beat this particular number of engagements, absolutely fantastic. Then it's your insights. So, what was the marketing challenge and how did you gather the insights that allowed you to then go to the idea and strategy? So how did what did you do with those insights? Well, this is the idea and strategy we garnered from those insights. How did you implement it? So where did you put the campaign? How did you amplify it? How did you showcase it out to the world? And then the results. I'll come back to all of this a bit later. This was just to show you where it was. The budget here is just more an internal thing for us so that we can have a look at, what the campaign was and how it was. And then here, it gives you all of your information on all of the supporting materials you'll need. One thing, and people panic, is, oh my gosh, we've got to do a video. You only have to do a video, and you don't actually have to do one. You're only asked to do a video if you get shortlisted. Now, people then panic about the case study. We've had many, and it just happened in APAC. There are companies that don't enter a case study film and have gone on and won gold trophies. So there is, you don't have to do a video, but I know a lot of you have kind of in-house facilities to make a cool video and bring a campaign to life, or you can simply use the link to the campaign. You can use a PowerPoint, you can use other supporting materials. So that kind of gives you a glance at the kind of what the form looks like. Going back to this, so we've only done part one of part two. So you effectively use the information we went through there to fill out the entry template. The judges, like we say, are adjudicating across all of those sections. So they're going across those sections, and it's something like, I think insights is 3 out of 5, and the others are out of 5. So you add all those up, and that gives you the total score for each submission. I suppose the key tips here are to remember that less is more. We have a tendency, particularly in the marketing space, to write more because we think we should write more, right? So you don't necessarily need to do that. And I know there's a few media owners on the call. So, worst case scenario, ask some of your journos to help you. They'll know the who, the what, the why, the where, the when, and having headlines that are no longer than 25 to 30 words. So they can certainly help you there. Avoid hyperbole. So, judges aren't silly, and they can see through stuff that has been kind of over egged and doesn't kind of sit true with the stats or the information. So, these guys are fairly rounded, so they'll see things and they'll bring with them various opinions and insights. So don't try and pull the wool over their eyes, I suppose. And then the biggest thing that people tend to get wrong is objectives. We see so many case studies every year where they've set out a bunch of objectives in the objectives column. We've got to the results, and the results don't marry up to the objectives. They're nice results nonetheless, but they don't match up to the objectives, which kind of defeats the whole point of the campaign. So just make sure that your objectives definitely match your results. Okay. So that is step 2. And then that's your key 2 steps. What I wanted to give you was an example of a campaign that had best practice last year. This particular campaign was called Padvertising it's not a period luxury. And this was a campaign via PhD Costa Rica and via a client called the Nosotras Women Connecting. So basically, the objectives here were effectively, cut a very long story short, this campaign was set up to overturn a government law in Costa Rica that meant females were paying luxury tax on every menstrual product they bought. So their ultimate goal, as you can see here, which is lovely to put in here, they've used some numbers here, was to convince 57 politicians to change the law. So they clearly set out what they were doing, how they wanted to do it. And as you can see, I actually think this was about 150 words. So they didn't even use the 250 word objective. They were to the point, had the objective. This is what they did. And then here, what I like about this is the kind of insight section. What they've done here is, as you can see, they've used points just to label out exactly what they're trying to do. So their insights here were like, you know, this was the problem. This is how we was trying to solve it. So not only have they put the words in there, they've used statistics as well, which is always very good. So, you know, for example, 1 in 5 women, they cost more than a quarter of their entire weekly household income on menstrual products, which is absolutely bonkers, right? So there were the girls who, you know, were missing out on school and they were being taxed for just being a woman. So they then clearly right here, look, this is our 57 members of Congress. We had to change them to change the law. So the insights are very concise and very to the point. And then you get to the strategy. So here they probably used up their full kind of allocation of words. But again, they used the points to shape out, this was the strategy. This is what we did. This is how we wanted to create and meet our objectives essentially. So they created this whole campaign. There's the idea behind it. They created filters. They created digital shape billboards. So just explaining kind of exactly what they did and how they did it and how they were going to get in touch with those 57 politicians. And then finally, the execution. So, you know, that was the idea and the strategy. Now it was all about, right, what did they do? So, you know, as you can see here, they hijacked 30 minutes of prime time viewing with Pad Vision, which was the amazing filter they created. And it went on top of TV shows throughout Costa Rica. It went across Twitter, or X as it's known now. These messages were put into WhatsApp. So they were really kind of creating this huge campaign to take to the government and get them to change the law effectively, which is unbelievable. So they, you know, it's a whole mix of out of home, it's a mix of TV, and a mix of retail media, which is absolutely fantastic. And then they had physical and digital kits. So this was how did they amplify that campaign? And then finally, you have the results section. So if we go back to the objectives, it was all about how do we get those 57 members of Congress to change their mind and overturn a law. And as you can see, the campaign reached 90% of the Costa Rican population, which is pretty impressive. PR levels are great, but look, most importantly here, in less than a month, they had 48 out of the 57 members of Congress who publicly committed to passing the law. So they actually achieved their aim of getting the law changed and getting the luxury tax taken off of all menstrual products in Costa Rica, which is unbelievable. So you can see there how the written entries, how the results reflect the objectives. Plus, they've got a little bit extra there in terms of the PR campaign and how many people it met. And then, just because I didn't want to bore you with my voice, let me just kind of play you the video, because it's a Thursday and videos are always good. Here you go.
We need to talk about menstruation. You probably don't want to, and neither did the government of Costa Rica. Because here, menstrual products are taxed like luxury items. They cost 1/5 of the population, more than 27% of their average weekly income, which means millions of women can't afford them, and thousands of girls miss school when they get their period. It's a tax, just for being a woman. Through women's NGO, Nosotras Women Connecting, we had to make the government realize that menstrual products are not a luxury, period. Remarkably, that's what we achieved, using media to rally the people of Costa Rica via a national advertising campaign. We took over TV shows with unique pad-shaped filters, drove social conversations, and encouraged people to message the politicians directly. We protested with pad-shaped signs, hijacked national monuments, and turned out-of-home sites and shop windows into campaign sites. Then we targeted the politicians themselves, asking them to pledge their support and change the law. 4.6 million people in Costa Rica saw and supported our campaign, 90% of the population, and 48 out of the 57 members of the Costa Rican parliament pledged their support and made menstrual justice the first new law discussed when Congress resumed functions in 2023.
Este año cambiemos la regla.
Just a few weeks later, the tax on menstrual products was abolished. Still today, discussions are taking place to safeguard women's menstrual rights. Nosotras lo hicimos. Our advertising campaign showed that menstrual pads are not a luxury. Period.
Okay, so that was just to kind of give you an insight into how that video brought the written entry to life. However, what is very good about this video is it literally does say exactly what it did on the tin. They kind of encapsulated what was in the written entry. But like I said before, there are things that you can add in the link to the campaign. You could send a PDF. You could do a PowerPoint. So there are ways and means around it. And the judges, what they do is both on the first round of judging, they've only got the written submissions, but on the final round of judging there, they can look at both the supporting material and the written submission. I hope most of that has made sense. I didn't want to keep you for too long, but let me stop that. Are there any questions out there? I mean, you can have my email afterwards, and I can connect you also to the team. But I think the key part for this particular category is definitely, you see from the synopsis is all about it having run in 2 or more countries. So the idea is we want to kind of show that international media is back and that the international community in the UK is producing campaigns which are running in 2 different regions, 2 different countries, however you want to play minimum. So I think that's the really exciting part. Hopefully that all makes sense, I hope.
Thanks very much, Jeremy. That makes perfect sense. Very good. Appreciate it.
Excellent.